Hello everybody, it's Astel, and welcome to our OP DEX Arcane Part 2 full game walkthrough. We're picking up the action where we left off Part 1. If you missed Part 1 and the setup guide, I have the links in the description below. I also have timestamps if you'd like to skip around. Follow my route on screen. I'm going to be picking up a few items before we get to Nokron. Namely, we're going to pick up a Ghost Glovewort and the Bell Bearing. This is not necessary if you're not going to be using the summon, but if you are, make sure you pick up the Bell Bearing and the Ghost Glovewort that I picked up. So before entering the boss fog, you can unequip all your weapons and your Dragon Communion seal. You don't have to, this is not necessary, but it will make the fight a lot easier if you do. Before we grab the Finger Slayer Blade, we're going to fight the Regal Ancestor Spirit. I'll show you all the fires we need to light up. So just follow me on screen, light up all the fires, and then we'll meet up at the Regal Ancestor Spirit. So there's not much to say about the Regal Ancestor Spirit. Just watch out for his opening. Sometimes he'll do a jump attack where he'll try to land on you. He also spits area of effect, what looks like flame. Here on my character, he tried to do a lunging attack, and then he follows that up with a stomp. If you're behind him, he'll kick you in the rear with his rear legs. There's his area of effect, what is, I believe, flame breath. So be careful with that. Other than that, he'll teleport and try to regain his health when he reappears. So look out for that as well. Regal Ancestor Spirit down. Go ahead and use the teleporter to teleport back to where his body was. We're going to be picking up a Site of Grace before we get the Finger Slayer Blade. This is going to be the Grace we'll take before we take on the Gargoyles later on in this guide. So go ahead and grab the Grace and then warp to the Ancestral Woods Site of Grace, and we'll be picking up the Finger Slayer Blade. Behind this stone sword key is the Mimic tier. If you would like to use a summon, the next part of this guide will be on how to get it to plus 10. After we pick up the Fingerslayer blade, we're going to be picking up ghosts 1 through 5. Well, actually, we will purchase 1 and 2 with the bell bearing, but we will pick up 3 through 5. So from the Ancestral Wood side of Grace, we're going to head east. If you need to slow it down, go ahead, but I'll show you the full route. I'm picking up ghosts 3, 4, and 5. We picked up number 10 with the Fingerslayer blade. So just follow me on screen. And then we're going to give Ronnie back the Fingerslayer blade. And I'll see you there. So now the only ghost glove roots we're missing are 6 and 7. If you followed part 1, we had picked up 8 and 9 in Mohg Palace area. So let's go ahead and warp to the round table. Give the bell bearing to the Twin Maiden Husks. You're going to purchase Ghost 1 and 2, and we'll be picking up 6 and 7. So after purchasing Ghost 1 and 2, you now have 1 through 5. You can speak to Roderica now to further her questline so she can upgrade the Mimic for you. So go ahead and upgrade the Mimic to plus 5. After that, we're going to warp to Ronnie's Rise and give Ronnie the Fingerslayer blade. The leftover runes, let's put that 1 point into Arcane. Giving Ronnie the Fingerslayer blade will get us to carry an inverted statue, which we'll use later on. For now, let's go to Renna's Rise and take the teleporter. We're going to be going into Angel River, Maine. If you want to continue Ronnie's quest, you want to pick up the miniature Ronnie once you're teleported in there. It's right in front of you. Just follow me on screen. I'll show you exactly where to pick up Ghost 6 and 7. Also, we're going to be picking up Somber 7, 8, and 9. So we can upgrade our Dragon Communion seal to plus 9. Hopefully you don't die like I did to the baby Astel. Whether you die or not, continue on through Knock-Run. There's going to be a couple of lifts you're going to want to go down. This will eventually take you to the Lake of Rot. In the Lake of Rot, we're going to be picking up Somber 8. After picking up Somber 8, we're going to be warping to Dragon Barrow, and we're going to pick up Somber 9. Picking up the Somber 8, let's warp to the Ferrum Great Bridge site of Grace. I'll mark the general area where the Somber 9 is. After picking up the Somber 9, you can either go to Master Hugh or Master Iji, but basically we're going to level up the Dragon Communion seal to plus 9. To the round table or not, let's go to Roderica and have her upgrade our Mimic tier to maximum, to plus 10. Next, we're going to make a stop in Caelid. So go ahead and go to the Inner Aeonia site of Grace. You want to mark where you're going to want to head to. That's the Church of Dragon Communion. We're going to be picking up a couple of incantations, namely Dragon Fire and Dragon Ice. If you like to pick up other dragon incantations, you can. For me, I didn't really use them that much for the run, but they are available if you'd like to try them out. We're going to make a stop in Limgrave. We're going to go talk to Patches. Before we can talk to Patches though, we need to fight this NPC invader. You should have no problem with this invader as it's an early game invader and you're already overpowered. After you fight the invader, go into the cave. In the cave you'll find Patches. You can either kill him or let him live. I let him live, but the decision is up to you. Patches will stop attacking you after a certain threshold. You can either kill him and take his bell bearing to the Twin Maiden Husk, or he'll move to Volcano Manor. I let him live, so I went to Volcano Manor. You're going to want at least Morgott's Shackle and the Gold Pickle Foulfoot. You can get the cookbook for making more Gold Pickle Foulfoot if you'd like from Patches as well. You're going to want to go to Knight Bernal. He has an Ash of War that will be helpful later on in the Consecrated Snowfields, Assassin's Gambit. So go ahead and pick that up. We're going to go outside of the capital. We're going to be picking up Smithing 6s. So go ahead and follow my route on screen. We're going to be upgrading our Godskin Peeler. Now to get these Smithing 6s, there's a Rune Bear nearby. You can get the Grace that's just north where I'm pointing at on my screen if you feel like you might die. If you don't pick up the Grace, just try to stay away from the Rune Bear as much as possible. Bait him to break the statue, pick up the 6s, and then we're going to upgrade our Godskin Peeler. Upgrade the Godskin Peeler to plus 20. After, we're going to go back to the capital. We're going to fight the Draconic Tree Sentinel. Now you can go ahead and rest at a site of grace to memorize spell first. I equipped Swarm of Fries, Dragon Fire, and Dragon Ice. This will be the only time I use a Mimic Tear, mainly just to show you how helpful the Mimic Tear can be. For the Draconic Tree Sentinel, you just want to watch out for his area of effect lightning attacks. When he charges you, he'll slam his weapon. Also, if you're standing near him, he can slam his weapon at you. He has lightning he can conjure and cast on you. And he also has a fire breath from the horse if you're standing too far away from him. Draconic Tree Sentinel down. Let's go ahead and put 2 points into Arcane. Now this Erdtree avatar is optional. He gives about 10,000 runes. The reason I fight him is because he drops a golden rune that's worth a lot more than the runes that he drops. After you grab the next Grace that's just through this door, you're going to go down the stairs. Follow me on screen. We're going to be picking up our armor for the rest of the game. We won't be able to equip it all. Unfortunately, we don't have the endurance for it yet. But since we're nearby it, let's go ahead and pick it up. It's in the church. As of right now, we'll be able to spend golden runes to level up. Let's put in 2 points into endurance, and we'll be able to equip the greaves. As you can see, If we try to equip any part of it, we go into heavy load. So let's spend the golden runes we have in our inventory and put 2 points into endurance, and we'll be able to equip the greaves, and soon we'll be able to equip the gloves. So next, we're going to be heading to the underground for a few things. Namely, we'll be picking up Smithing Stone 7s. Also, we'll be picking up the Lord of Blood's Exaltation. I'll show you my route for each one. So go ahead and follow my character on screen, and you'll pick up everything necessary. I'll go ahead and slow down this next part after we drop down. Go ahead and craft sleep pots. We're going to be putting the lobsters to sleep. You can fight them if you'd like, but we only need the smithing stones that are on the ground. So I just put them to sleep, pick up the smithing 7s, walk past them. Also, we're going to be picking up Mohg Shackle, which we'll need for later on in the run. After that, we'll be going into the dungeon that has the Lord of Blood's Exaltation. So before you go into the dungeon, if you'd like, we have enough 7s to get the Godskin Peeler up to plus 22. So go to Smithing Master EG, upgrade it, and then warp back. So I'll show you my full route through this next dungeon. It is a little confusing. If you need to pause or slow it down, go ahead and do so. So for Esgar, you can get the Beast Repellent Torch from Dragon Barrow. It's in the northwest section, west of the Somber 8. If you don't get it, try to get his dogs before you go after him, or try to take him out as fast as possible. I went for taking down the dogs first, and then I concentrated it on Esgar. So with Esgar down, we have our 4th talisman, the Lord of Blood's Exaltation. Do not equip it just yet, because our next boss is going to be immune to bleed, so it won't help us out. For now, keep the Ritual Sword Talisman, Claw Talisman, and the Winged Sword Insignia. Let's go ahead and warp to the Avenue Balcony side of Grace. Level up. We're going to put 1 point into Endurance. This should be enough for us to go ahead and equip Lionel's Gauntlets. So now we have our full armor loadout. Before we go on to fight Goldfrey, we're going to pick up a seal. So just follow my character on screen. I'm going to go through the round table and show you things that are in there that you may find helpful, namely golden runes. After we go through the round table, we're going to find one of the Lanedale Knights. That's going to drop the Gravelstone seal. So with this seal, your character is going to become even more versatile. Not only can you attack up close, but you can cast incantations from afar. Dragon incantations or dragon cult incantations. We can't offhand the Gravelstone seal just yet. If we switch back to our scaled gauntlets, we can. We don't need it right now, so let's not equip it just yet. Next, let's go after Goldfrey. Now as for Goldfrey, just try to watch out for his area of effect stomp. Besides that, just watch for when he tries to jump and for when he does his swing around with his axe. So now that we have our 4th talisman slot, go ahead and equip the Lord of Blood's Exaltation. If we encounter enemies that are immune to bleed, we have the Fire Scorpion charm which we can switch off to. For now, we got Morgott coming up next, so go ahead and equip the Lord of Blood's Exaltation. Let's put 3 points into Vigor. Up at the next grace, I'm going to level up again, so here we're putting 3 points into Vigor. And then we're going to put 1 point into Endurance before we head into Morgott's boss fog. I didn't do it, but since we have Morgott's Shackle, it makes the fight a lot easier. So you can use that against Morgott as well. Morgott's another one of those bosses that I don't have much advice for. I just try to kill him as quickly as possible. When I see him far away, I watch for his sprinting attacks. Watch for him to drop the swords from above. He has delayed attacks with his greatsword and also with the hammer that he conjures. So be careful with those. So with Morgott down, and after talking to Melina, let's go ahead and put 1 point into Arcane. We're going to warp to the Avenue Balcony site of Grace. We're going to be heading towards the mountaintops of the Giants. But here in Lanedale, there is one more thing that I'm going to show you to pick up. It's going to be a large rune that is guarded by a Crucible Knight. So just follow my character on screen. You can fight the Crucible Knight if you'd like. I decided to just grab the rune and leave. We're going to go down the lift that goes to the Forbidden Lands. Let's grab this Forbidden Lands site of Grace. Go back up the lift. We're going to be going to Morgott's Divine Tower. It's actually the Divine Tower of Lanedale, I believe. We're going to be activating Morgott's Great Rune. Before we can get there though, we have the Fell Twins that we need to defeat. Here, you can use incantations, melee, whatever you'd like. They don't have that big of a health pool, so use whatever style you'd like against them. So after you activate Morgott's Great Rune, make sure to equip it at a site of grace. Also, you'll need to activate a Rune Arc in order to get the HP boost. With the Rune Arc active, you get plus 25% max HP. Before continue on through the Forbidden Lands, let's go ahead and pop golden runes and put 1 point into Arcane. If it's not nighttime, make it nighttime. There's going to be a Knight's Cavalry that spawns right by the site of grace. It's not right by it, but it's actually near it on the path. He's relatively easy to take down, so go ahead and take him down so we can take his runes from him. Go ahead and continue on to the next grace right before the lift. Pop golden runes to complete a level and put that point into dexterity. So I'll go ahead and mark 2 spots of interest on the map. The first spot's going to be a golden seed for flask upgrade. The second spot in the shaded area, it's not exactly where it is, but it's going to be a invisible scarab that has the Seppuku Ash of War. That's going to be the Ash of War that we want on the Godskin Peeler from here on out. So Seppuku is going to act as another part of our buffing process. Adds 30 flat physical damage and 30 base bleed up that scales with Arcane. It also does take a percentage off of our life, so we'll need to heal up after every time we use it. When you equip it, you're going to want to choose the blood affinity since the Godskin Peeler does not have innate blood. After equipping Seppuku, go ahead and continue on. We're going to fight the next dragon, Borealis. With Borealis, you want to watch out for her ice breath. You also want to watch out for when she shouts. Here, she's trying to jump on my character, and she successfully does. Be careful when she stomps, as she leaves an area of effect, besides the stomp taking a lot of damage off of your character. Again, when you're far away, she'll try to do ice breath, and if you get too close, she'll do a shout that also does an area of effect. So, just keep on your toes while you're fighting her. So after leveling up, follow my route on screen. We're going to be entering a Neverjail. We're going to be fighting Vyke, namely just for his runes. So with Vyke down, let's go ahead and level up. We're going to put 2 points into Vigor. Now before the arena with the fire giant, right here on the map, there's an ancient dragon smithing stone to max out our Godskin peeler. Let's go ahead and grab that. Now we're not going to fight the fire giant just yet. Let's warp back to the round table. We're going to talk to Fia and tie up a few quest lines. We're going to start her quest by getting the weather dagger. We're going to give that to D. Reload the area. Pick up D's armor. We're going to talk to Fia. That will send her to Deep Root Depths. Right here is where we get the Curse Mark of Death. But before we do that, let's go to Raya Lucaria Academy and go after Rennala. Before the Red Wolf, in this area, let's take out these mages. There's a ritual pot that we're going to want for the future, namely to craft freezing pots. Now you don't have to kill the enemies here, you can just run in and grab it. I just killed them. Next is the Red Wolf of Radagon. This should be a relatively easy fight, as you should be completely overpowered now. Continue on, and you'll face the Parry King, Mohg. He should be easy to take down as well. So for phase 1 Rennala, I like to take down 2 of the Sweetings. Before taking down the 3rd one, put on all your buffs, starting with the Flask, Golden Vow, Flame grant me strength. Lastly, you'll put on Seppuku. Make sure to fill up your FP and your HP. Take down the last Sweeting. Wait for Rennala to come down. And there isn't really much to say. A couple of jump attacks and it's over. As for phase 2, you're going to want to run straight at her. It's not necessary to crouch like I did. Just get to the side or behind her. Do a few jump attacks. And you'll easily take her down. So let's go ahead and put 1 point into dexterity. If you go back down the lift right before Mohg, there's going to be a teleporter. Go ahead and take that. That's going to take you to East Liurnia. These are the spots of interest that we're going to want. There's a Site of Grace there. Here, there's a Lanedale Knight with the Dragon Cult Prayer Book. And here is the entrance to get the Curse Mark of Death. So let's get that Site of Grace. Continue on to the Knight. Easily dispatch the Knight. You'll get the Dragon Cult Prayer Book. We're going to hand that over to Muriel at the Church of Vows. So now you have access to Lightning Spear, Home Bolt, and Electrify Armament. Just buy Lightning Spear for now, and then warp to the Eastern Tableland Site of Grace. Go to our mark where the Curse Mark of Death is. Put the statue in. Go all the way through. Pick up the Curse Mark of Death. After picking up the Curse Mark of Death, we're going to warp to the Aqueduct facing Hills Site of Grace. We're going to swap out the Lord of Blood's Exaltation for the Fire Scorpion charm because the gargoyles don't bleed. If you want to use D as a summon, you hand over the twinned armor to his brother. His sign will appear on the ground. If you don't, the number one thing I want you to remember about the gargoyles is their poison attack. If you're near them, they'll spam poison. If you're far away, they'll spam poison. The first gargoyle also has a ranged attack called Vacuum Slice, so watch out for that one. With the gargoyles down, go ahead and take the coffin that takes you to Deeproot Depths. Follow my route on screen so you can pick up golden runes and rune arcs. Before fighting Fia's champs, spend as many golden runes as necessary so you have enough to complete 2 levels. We're going to put those 2 levels into dexterity. Don't forget to swap your talismans. The Fire Scorpion charm, go ahead and take that out and put back in the Lord of Blood's Exaltation. As far as Fia's champs go, the first 2 shouldn't be that much of a problem. The third set is a trio. I always have a problem with them. So pretty much just stay away from Lionel on round 3 and watch out for the attacks from the other NPCs. Well, so before hugging Fia 1,000 times, go ahead and put 1 point into dexterity. Sure to choose the bottom option when she talks to you at first. Hug her a few times, reload, make sure to get rid of Baldaquin's blessing. Touch your body again, and you'll enter Fortissax's arena. For Fortissax, you want to watch out for his area of effect attacks. Namely, he does lightning that can linger. He has the Death Blight that lingers as well. That's instant death if your Death Blight meter fills up. He does slam attacks. He also does swipe attacks. They all have area effect lightning to them. At one point also, as you can see my character going with lightning, for after a while, that lightning will explode and do damage to you. So either roll away from it or just run away from it. Besides that, try to get the legs as best as possible and watch out for the attacks. With Fortissax down, go ahead and pick up the Mending Rune of the Death Prince. Let's level up. We're going to put 1 point into Dexterity. Next, let's warp to the Noxtella Waterfall Basin site of Grace. You're going to want to rest at the Grace and talk to Miniature Ronnie until she talks back to you. Exhaust your dialogue. You're going to fight the Baleful Shadow. After taking down the Baleful Shadow, you're going to get the discarded Talus Key. This is going to be for a chest where Rennala is at. So after fighting the Baleful Shadow, we're going to be heading back to the academy. So warp to the Raya Lucaria Grand Library site of Grace, where Rennala is at. There's a chest there that you can use the key for. That'll give you the Dark Moon Ring. We'll be needing that later on to venture on past Astel. Which means we're going after Astel next. Go to the Lake of Rot shoreside site of Grace. Run through the Rot. Make sure that you have the Flame Tier and the Faith Tier. Walk into Astel's arena. I usually do my last buff after Astel's first attack. Sometimes if it does a tail swipe, I'll wait for after the tail swipe. Basically, he has area of effects attacks, which he will trigger if you're near him. He'll have swipe attacks. He has lingering attacks as well after the swipes. He'll do that laser blast if you're too far away from him. He'll also do a ground slam if you're underneath him. And down goes Astel. Let's go ahead and put 1 point into Dexterity, 1 point into Arcane. Leveling up, go ahead and go up the lift. Here I'll mark 2 areas of interest. First area is going to have smithing 8s. Next area will also have smithing 8s and smithing 7s just in case you're missing any. Warp to EG and level up your Godskin Peeler to plus 23. Next remembrance boss we're going after is Rykard. There's a few things we need to pick up in Limgrave and Caelid. So let's make a stop at the Stormhill Shack site of Grace and go to my first mark. I had already picked it up, but here is where you'll find the Strength Knot Crystal Tier. Head east from this mark to the second mark I made, and above this building we'll be picking up the Lance. It's also going to be useful for us in our fight against Rykard. After picking up these 2 items, warp to the Fort Ferrith site of Grace. We're going to be heading back into the fort. I'll show you my route, but basically we're going past where we picked up the medallion. We're going to be picking up the Radagon Sword Seal. Setup complete. Head to the Temple of Igle site of Grace. Run all the way to the teleporter. This will take you outside of Rykard's arena. Now, I recommend equipping a Gold Pickle Foulfoot so you get extra runes from Rykard. Also, switch out the Lord of Blood's Exaltation. Instead, you're going to use the Radagon Sword Seal. As far as our physic, we're going to swap out the Fire tier for the Strength tier. But we are going to keep the Faith tier in there for buffs. Pick up the Serpent Hunter. Make sure that the lance is in your right hand, and you want the Serpent Hunter on your left hand. When you're attacking Rykard, you want to do crouch and attack. Crouch and L1 for me on PlayStation, LB for Xbox. Not sure what it is for PC. You want to put on your buffs before he aggroes. And like I said, crouch and attack. Watch for his lunges. Watch for his poison, and watch for his area of effect attacks. So before he transitions over to phase 2, after you knock him out, put on any buffs that you can. I put on Flame Grant Me Strength and Golden Vow. Phase 2, he has an area of effect attack as well. However, this one is going to be in the sky, where he sends out red skulls that explode after a delayed time. Also, he has delayed jabs that he can do. After he does that swing that hit me, he'll do that delayed swipe. Here's the jabs that I was talking about. Just do the same strategy. Crouch and attack, dodge when you need to. I'm lucky enough to get a stagger here when he has low health. At that point is when I ate the Gold Pickle Foulfoot. If you feel confident enough, you can eat the Gold Pickle Foulfoot when he has about a quarter health. He's going to go down quite easily. Make sure to switch your equipment back. Equip your Twin Blades. Eleonora's in your right. Godskin Peeler in your left. Switch out the Radagon Sword Seal for the Lord of Blood's Exaltation. Equip your Dragon Communion Seal on your right hand. If you had to switch out your Greaves and Gauntlets, go ahead and put the Lionel Greaves and Gauntlets back on and put the Flame Tear back in. I went ahead and equipped Lightning Spear here. If you'd like to, you can do so as well. With the runes, we're going to be putting 4 points into Faith. After leveling up, let's head back to the Moonlight Altar. We're going to be going after Adula. Namely, we're going after her for the runes. After we fight Adula, we're going to go down into the church and talk to Ronnie. This is going to give you an alternate ending. So after taking down Adula, you can head down into the cathedral. There's a hole that you can go down to and interact with Ronnie's doll. This will give you the Dark Moon Greatsword and an alternate ending. So let's go ahead and put 3 points into Faith before continuing on. After you level up, we're going to the Grand Lift of Dectus Site of Grace. And we're going to these 2 marks that I put down. The first mark is going to be Howl of Shabriri, which is going to replace Flame Grant Me Strength. Second mark is going to have Elemental Tears. We're after the Lightning Tear. Right before the Minor Erdtree we're about to fight, there's a Site of Grace. Go ahead and rest there and equip Howl of Shabriri instead of Flame Grant Me Strength. Howl of Shabriri boosts all damage by 25%, but it also debuffs you where you take an extra 30% damage. Next, we're going to the Erd Tree Gazing Hillside of Grace. Follow the path that I mark on screen. I'll also put a mark down to the next dungeon we'll be going to. We're going to be going after the Lightning Scorpion Charm. Next, we'll be heading into Liurnia after half of the secret medallion. So warp to the Lascar ruins, head west, talk to old Albus here, kill him or talk to him, but he'll give you the Halictree secret medallion. So go ahead and take that off his hands. Next, we're going back to the mountaintops. We're going after Commander Niall in Castle Sol. So before we do that though, let's head west from this side of Grace and fight this minor Erd Tree. We're going to be after his rune so we can complete a level. So before heading to Castle Sol, let's go ahead and spend the runes. We're going to put 1 point into dexterity, and now we're off to Castle Sol. Walk into the boss fog. Commander Niall will spawn in 2 Spectral Banished Knights. Take down the one that's dual wielding the great swords. After you take that one down, take down the one with the shield, and it'll just be you and Commander Niall. Commander Niall has area of effect attacks. He can do a stomp that does lightning area of effect. He'll do a jump, and when he comes down, he'll stomp and do an area of effect. He can swing around his halberd that does area of effect that can build up frostbite. Here, he's going to be doing the jump attack. I just roll and then run around to his right and get an attack off. There's his area of effect stomp. When you see him doing this, he's charging up to do a running attack at you. After he does this next running attack, this will be your window to attack him. He stays prone like that for quite a while. You should be able to take him down easily. So Commander Niall down. We're going to put his runes into Arcane, 1 point. Go up the lift, pick up the other half of the secret medallion. We're going to warp over to the Grand Lift of Rold. When you get there and stand on the lift, make sure to switch it to the secret medallion. Here in the consecrated snowfields, I'm going to mark 2 areas of interest. The first one has the site of grace. The second one has the map. Now I didn't exactly mark the site of grace correctly, but it is somewhat nearby. Around here you can farm these rhymed crystal buds to craft freezing pots later. There's smithing stone 8s that you're going to want to pick up there as well. If you head north to Ordina and then east, there's a putrid avatar you're going to want to fight for the runes and for the tier that it has. Down goes the putrid avatar. This is going to be giving us the last tier that we need for the run, the Thorny Crack tier. So let's go ahead and level up. We're going to be putting 2 points into Vigor and 1 point into Arcane. After leveling up, you're going to want to turn it into nighttime. We're going to be fighting the Knights Cavalry duo that spawns in just west of the site of Grace. After you take down the Knights Cavalry duo, continue to head north. You're going to be invaded by Anastasia Tarnished Eater. She should be relatively easy. She's going to be dropping a Somber 10, which we can use to max out our Dragon Communion seal. Take down Anastasia. Go ahead and warp to the inner consecrated snowfield site of Grace. Put in 1 point into Arcane. From here, you're also going to want to take out the Fire tier and put in the Thorny Tear. So it'll be the Thorny Tear and the Faith tier. Head directly east from this Grace. We're going to be fighting another field boss for runes. It's Magma Worm Theodorix. There's octopus around that you can recruit to help you out. Just run near them and either hit them, or if you run near them, that'll just aggro them. Once they get Theodorix's attention, just attack him as much as you can. Theodorix gets down to low health. Go ahead and pop the gold pick Foulfoot for extra runes. He'll die. Then we're going to level up at the inner consecrated snowfield site of Grace. Go ahead and put 3 points into Arcane. Head north back into Ordina. We're going to enter the Evergel. There's 4 lighters you need to light up. If you have purchased Assassin's Gambit, you can put it on a dagger. That'll help you out against the archers. Either way, after you light the 4 torches, there's going to be a teleporter that opens up on the north side. Go through it. Go ahead and grab that Grace. Run through to the next Grace. And before we continue on, we're going to go back into the consecrated snowfields to the inner consecrated snowfield site of Grace. We're going to be picking up more smithing stone 8s. Back where Theodorix was, east of the Grace, there's a statue that you can bait the crab to break for smithing stone 8s. Next, before we continue, we're going to level up. We're going to put 1 point into Arcane. Then we're going to head west to the Yellow Annex Tunnel. We need to pick up about 3 more smithing stone 8s. So after you pick them up, you can leave. Go to Smithing Master EG and upgrade your Godskin Peeler to max. And your seal to max as well. Go back to the Halictree town site of Grace. Head down to Loretta and get ready to fight her. This one does bleed, so you don't need to do any talisman swap outs. It's going to be a relatively easy fight, as you can see. Just stay near her and watch for her ranged attacks. Goes Loretta, and that's it for part 2. Before we leave, let's put the 2 points into Arcane. I'm going to put a preview as to what you're going to see in the finale. Part 3 should be up hopefully by Monday. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe and leave a comment down below. Appreciate everybody that's been supporting me on this journey. If you have any suggestions or any questions, please leave them in the comments.
I am Melania.
Thanks for watching. See you on the next one. Bye.
And I have never known defeat. Let your flesh be consumed by the sky.